During the Clone Wars, many battles between the Grand Army of the Republic and the Separatist droid army stretched on for weeks and months, and some lasted over a year. But one campaign surpassed all others, the Battle of Mygeeto. On Mygeeto, Republic forces encountered fierce resistance during the siege of intergalactic banking clan strongholds, leading to prolonged engagements. Overall, the battle lasted nearly 2 full years, from 21 BBY to 19 BBY. In this video, we will discuss the details of this critical battle, which are often forgotten. Centuries before the Clone Wars, the moons associated with the intergalactic banking clan discovered Mygeeto. After discovering the planet's vast mineral deposits, the moons claimed rights over Mygeeto on behalf of the intergalactic banking clan. The banking clan built mines and splendid cities on the planet, where the moons settled. However, the indigenous Lurmen of Mygeeto were marginalized, deprived of access to any natural wealth of their native world. By the time of the Clone Wars, Mygeeto had a population of 19 million settlers, the overwhelming majority of whom were moons employed by the banking clan. Mygeeto quickly became one of the most important worlds of the banking clan, alongside Argao Scipio and the banking clan's headquarters on Munilinst. Although it lacked the prestige and history of other banking planets, Mygeeto's immense wealth allowed it to hold a respectable place among the top worlds of the banking clan. In fact, Mygeeto was considered a twin world to Munilinst itself, due to the large number of moons inhabiting the planet and the abundance of minerals, for which Munilinst was also famous. The intergalactic banking clan guarded Mygeeto very zealously from outsiders, deploying a formidable defense fleet of Sheathipede-class star frigates, effectively restricting access to the planet for anyone not associated with the banking clan. During the Separatist crisis, the intergalactic banking clan sympathized with the Separatists, but did not openly show this. When the Clone Wars erupted, the clan joined the Confederacy but continued to conduct business with the Republic, serving as the primary banker for both warring sides. Munilinst and Mygeeto seceded at the start of the Clone Wars. But the banking clan continued to manage banking worlds within Republic space, including the core world of Argao. The Bank of Argao officially sided with the Republic despite being a subsidiary of the banking clan managed by moons. Meanwhile, Scipio, another banking world, declared neutrality, providing substantial loans to both the Republic and the Separatists. One of the Republic's primary objectives in the Clone Wars was to seize control of the banks. Contrary to local laws, the Grand Army occupied Argao at the onset of the war. While a major offensive by the Republic led to the capture of Munilinst and most of the leadership of the intergalactic banking clan, including Chairman San Hill, who later escaped custody. Initially, Scipio was left in peace due to its neutrality, but the Grand Army of the Republic occupied the planet after its secession from the Republic in 20 BBY, before the Battle of Yavin. This significantly strengthened the Republic's control over the banks, despite the banking clan still being a member of the Confederacy. However, there was one last obstacle the Republic had to overcome to gain full control of Mygeeto. Unlike other major worlds of the banking clan, Mygeeto and Munilinst firmly sided with the Confederacy at the start of the Clone Wars, providing their extensive storehouses of resources to the Separatist cause. After the Republic captured Munilinst, Mygeeto became the largest source of wealth in the entire Confederacy. Its importance in funding the droid army cannot be overstated. Mygeeto became a hotbed of military factories that supplied ships and weapons for the Confederacy, which was a real treasure trove for the Separatists. The Republic leadership believed that victory in the Clone Wars depended on capturing Mygeeto, and for this reason, the Republic launched the invasion of Mygeeto at the end of the 21 BBY. The composition of the initial forces is unknown, but I dare to assume that the first attack was led by Ki-Adi-Mundi and the Galactic Marines. It matters little what the Republic's forces were. The main thing is that they broke through the Separatist blockade of Mygeeto and established beachheads on the planet's surface. However, the campaign soon stalled. The defense of Mygeeto proved stronger than the Republic forces expected, and the Grand Army of the Republic found itself unable to dislodge the droid army from key positions. However, the Republic commanders refused to yield even an inch of ground on Mygeeto. Instead, they continued to send reinforcements to maintain the pressure. The Separatists responded in kind. Mygeeto was one of the most well-defended worlds in the Confederacy, with such a large defensive fleet that it was a miracle the Republic forces managed to break through at all. The defensive fleet mainly consisted of Munificent-class star frigates, but Recusant-class light destroyers and Providence-class carriers were also part of the blockade. A vast number of Vulture droids, tri-fighters, and HMP gunships provided not only lethal support in the orbital battle but also air support in ground engagements. The Separatists also had an extensive complex of artillery batteries, including anti-aircraft weapons that cut off Republic air attacks. Mygeeto's garrison also included nearly endless hordes of battle droids of all kinds, as well as crab droids, armored assault tanks, hailfire droids, and Octuptara droids. Who commanded Mygeeto's droid garrison is precisely unknown. What we know for certain is that General Grievous coordinated the defense. The Battle of Mygeeto lasted the entire 20 BBY without significant changes as the forces of the Republic and the Separatists reached a stalemate. However, by the end of 20 BBY, the Outer Rim sieges had begun, and the Republic started putting pressure on the Separatist strongholds in the Outer Rim. This drew attention to Mygeeto. Republic tacticians dubbed the area around the planet the Mygeeto Theater, which was a concentration of Separatist deployments. In a public address in 19 BBY, Palpatine proclaimed Mygeeto, Saleucami, and Felucia as the Triad of Evil. He decreed that capturing these three worlds should become the main priority of the Republic armed forces, and dispatched a massive reinforcement fleet to aid in the capture of Mygeeto. This was the moment when Ki-Adi-Mundi assumed command of the Republic forces on Mygeeto. 4 other Jedi Knights joined Mundi on Mygeeto, leading the Galactic Marines and many other divisions of the Grand Army of the Republic in a new offensive against the droid army. In orbit, dozens of Venator-class star destroyers and Acclamator-class assault ships fought against the Separatist forces. Under the command of Mundi Ramodi and Commander Bakara, the Republic forces finally launched a full-scale offensive, although the cost was high. The Separatists did not want to surrender Mygeeto without a fight, and made the Republic pay dearly for every captured outpost. In orbit, one of the largest air battles of the war occurred, and many ships were destroyed. One such ship, a Republic star destroyer, nearly crashed into the battlefield during the decisive battle, which would have caused massive damage to the Republic forces on Mygeeto. Fortunately, the catastrophe was averted thanks to the sacrifice of one of the Jedi, Rivi Anu, allowing the Republic forces to continue their advance. During the decisive battle in one of the major cities of Mygeeto, the 501st Legion was dispatched to aid General Mundi's forces. Their purported task was to destroy a major Separatist power generator. In reality, the Supreme Chancellor tasked the 501st with capturing an ancient crystal, powering the generator which Palpatine needed for the secret Project Hamaton. The 501st Legion successfully completed the mission, and Mundi remained unaware. They left Mygeeto after capturing the crystal, leaving the Galactic Marines to continue the offensive. By the time of the Battle of Coruscant, Republic forces on Mygeeto had made significant progress. However, Mundi and the Galactic Marines faced a serious obstacle, a vast chasm between the city districts connected only by a series of heavily defended bridges. They had no choice but to break through the bridges. Ki-Adi-Mundi, the Galactic Marines, and the columns of UT-AT spearheaded the attack, fearlessly charging at the battle droids and tri-droids waiting on the other side. The balance of power was in their favor when Commander Bakara received Order 66. He and his men stopped, immediately opened fire on Mundi, killing the Jedi general before continuing the assault. After the Jedi's death on Mygeeto, command of the Republic forces fell to Colonel Ramodi and Commander Bakara. Under their leadership, Republic forces successfully forded the bridges. A few hours later, the droid army suddenly deactivated. The Separatist Council was annihilated on Mustafar, and the remnants of their armed forces were obliterated across the galaxy. The Confederacy of Independent Systems abruptly ceased to exist, and the Republic, now the Empire, automatically emerged victorious in the Battle of Mygeeto. Colonel Ramodi was promoted to General of the new Imperial Army for his role in the Battle of Mygeeto, the longest battle of the Clone Wars. The Battle of Felucia, one of the final engagements of the Clone Wars, occurred between the Galactic Republic and the Confederacy of Independent Systems. It was quite a long and bloody confrontation, comparable in scale and significance to the Battle of Mygeeto. Except instead of the hellish cold, the two armies clashed in the sweltering jungles filled with dangerous predators, poisonous plants, and a multitude of diseases. Felucia, a colorful, jungle-covered planet in the Outer Rim's Thanium sector, one of the key planets of the Perlemian trade route. The Republic fervently attempted to seize this planet due to its strategic importance, while the Separatists turned it into one large fortress against whose walls the massive armadas of the Republic forces repeatedly shattered. Because neither side even considered retreat, Felucia became the field for several large-scale battles of the Clone Wars. And today we will tell you how it all began, how it all transpired, and how this battle ended. We know of at least 3 major battles on Felucia. Initially, during the Outer Rim sieges, the Republic planned to swiftly capture the planet. This campaign began with Palpatine designating 3 key objectives in the Outer Rim, referred to as the Triad of Evil. This triad included Mygeeto and Saleucami. These planets were the keys to defeating the Separatist forces. However, just like on Felucia and the other 2 planets, the Republic faced fierce resistance. Why was Felucia part of this triad? There are several reasons for that. First, it was the headquarters of the Commerce Guild. In brief, the Commerce Guild was established during the era of the Old Republic around 700 BBY to regulate and organize trade routes to all star systems in the deep core. Hundreds of years after the creation of the Trade Federation, the Commerce Guild ceased to be the primary trade organization. However, it remained an official corporation of the Republic. By the beginning of the Clone Wars, the Commerce Guild, along with the Intergalactic Banking Clan, the Techno Union, and the Trade Federation, seceded from the Republic and organized the Confederacy of Independent Systems. Thus began the Clone Wars. The Commerce Guild was a significant ally in the Separatist camp. Under the leadership of the Gossams, a sentient race of short reptiles from the planet Castel, the Commerce Guild provided the CIS with planets Castel, Saleucami, and Felucia as bases and factories for the production of droids and armored vehicles. Gossam Shu Mai, the Guild's leader, personally ensured that the lives of the clones on these planets would become a living hell. Another reason the planet was deeply in the rear of CIS forces was that it served as an essential supply point for army reinforcements. Additionally, with the established trade routes, Felucia represented a convenient staging ground for the rapid deployment of large numbers of troops to key CIS planets, such as Murkana or Raxus. The Republic's primary objectives in this campaign were the capture of Shu Mai, head of the Commerce Guild and member of the Separatist Council, and the rescue of Ormo Hin, a relative of the Felucian leader who supported the Galactic Republic. Achieving these key objectives in the campaign would provide the Republic with a significant ally, only slightly inferior to the Trade Federation. However, as on other fronts, the Republic's plans did not come to fruition immediately. Why then did the campaign, which began at the very dawn of the Clone Wars, stretch all the way to Order 66? Once again, it is worth noting poor reconnaissance, hasty conclusions, and rushed decisions. Intelligence had reported that the planet's local sentient population was almost non-existent, which greatly pleased the Jedi, since it presented an excellent opportunity to avoid unnecessary casualties on the part of the clones as well as civilians. But the Republic did not inquire into the reasons for the near-total absence of this population. Before setting foot on the planet, the Galactic Republic had to break the Separatist fleet's strong defense, which gave the CIS time to bolster the planet with an even larger garrison of droids and to weaken the Republic's landing forces. Despite all efforts, the defense was eventually breached and Republic forces exhaled, which was a mistake. Do you remember when I mentioned that the Jedi did not inquire in advance about the reasons for the almost complete absence of the sentient population? It was all about the planet's ecosystem. Felucia's humid tropical climate turned it into a planet full of impenetrable jungles with various types of growing plants, most of which were unstudied. And thanks to massive evaporations and a veritable cocktail of various secretions from flowers, fungal formations, or simply swamps, the most potent poisons were created which penetrated the body of a living being in various ways. The first landed detachment of the 182nd Legion immediately faced an enemy for which it was unprepared. Any scratch or open wound nearly 90% of the time resulted in some form of infection. The first version of the clone armor, with its flaws, clearly showed that even if by some means the Republic forces managed to gain a foothold on the planet, it would cost them entire legions of soldiers. Jedi in their robes would fare even worse, remaining unmentioned. It is also worth noting the clones' own biology. No experiments by the Kaminoans with the clones' DNA could ensure them an ironclad immunity, which was greatly anticipated. According to reports from the first landing, it was analyzed that the majority of losses occurred not due to combat, but due to the planet's local ecosystem. The droids simply finished off the scattered, sparse remnants. For example, the carnivorous ulcer bacteria ensured a painful death for the clones in almost 100% of cases. The equipment quickly became unusable, rusted, or sank in the impenetrable jungles. The failure of the campaign on Jabim, which occurred simultaneously with the First Battle of Felucia, made the Republic realize that experimental AT-ATs, as well as any bipedal walkers, were best not deployed. To avoid a repeat of the collapse that occurred on Jabim, the Republic forces retreated. The droid army hardly participated in this battle. Most droids merely recorded the vast array of rusting ATTs and heaps of decaying Jango Fett clones. It is believed that after the initial battles on Felucia, Mygeeto, and Saleucami, the Republic began working on armor for specific landscapes. The second battle of Felucia mirrored the outcome of the first. For some reason, no conclusions were drawn. The armor was still unhelpful, and diseases continued to rage. The 182nd Legion completely exhausted its resources. The large-scale attack on the Separatist positions stalled. There were several reasons for this. The clones had navigational issues, causing some divisions to simply get lost. Communications were terrible, making coordination nearly impossible. The situation was further complicated by the droids, who frequently set up ambushes and conducted raids on the enemy's rear. The droids had more information about the planet and were not of interest to predators. Yet the 182nd managed to establish a corridor and secure a position on the planet. The issue was that their forces were dwindling before their eyes, and they urgently needed reinforcements. In the second battle, the clones became particularly acquainted with the local fauna. The Felucian predators were akin to the planet's plants, little studied and highly dangerous. The clones became the main course on this planet. The third battle of Felucia began with the arrival of the 327th Star Corps and the fighters of the 501st Legion, already through the cleared corridor of the breached space blockade. The second phase of armor and the experience from previous campaigns had already improved the devastating statistics. However, the Republic had not learned from the bitter experience regarding technology and continued to supply troops with rather clumsy walkers, which were ineffective in the realities of Felucia. The same ATTE, ATDP, and ATOT often got stuck in the swamps or local foliage, forcing the clones to seek new routes, the search for which usually ended in droid traps or stumbling into yet another predator's den. But the clones adapted. For example, the fighters of the 327th began using some animals as transportation, and thanks to their experience in battling predators, the soldiers moved more confidently. Jedi General Aayla Secura, along with the 501st, managed to expand their beachhead and gain the initiative in this campaign. As a result, the 327th Corps had opportunities to attack factories and key bases on the planet. It was this unit's ability to operate in dreadful conditions that led the Republic to start winning. A hallmark of the 327th Corps was their distinctive cold-bloodedness, also found in the 21st Infantry and the 91st Recon Corps. These soldiers were not intimidated by enormous monsters or diseases. High casualties or the deaths of close comrades did not worry them. This was because their unit was trained as ARC troopers, which had a significant impact on their character. Aayla Secura herself, unlike her predecessors, quickly adapted, and despite her quite revealing attire with many unprotected areas, successfully coped with the local ecosystem. It was hard to say whether this was a conscious effort or just luck, but the fact remained. Her knowledge in espionage and reconnaissance skills greatly helped the clones avoid potential droid ambushes, which also contributed to the advancement of their offensive. At this stage, the Republic went on the offensive on all fronts. General Secura, along with the fighters of the 327th Star Corps, initially advanced along the jungles, encountering small Separatist recon groups. After minor skirmishes, it was decided to place the infantry and walkers and move deeper into the jungles. Pushing through the wildly growing vegetation, the army reached the first unnamed villages, which the CIS forces had already fortified. It is worth noting that the Separatists, particularly Shu Mai, did not expect the Republic to get this far, so they did not prepare the areas in advance. Republic forces delivered pinpoint strikes with the high-precision weaponry of clone marksmen and ITT guns. The first major skirmishes were successful. Shu Mai continued to adhere to the tactic of pinpoint and lightning-fast attacks. Only now, small recon groups were joined by droid gunships which successfully conducted raids on the clumsy walkers. Aayla Secura and Commander Bly understood that at this pace, their offensive risked failing, leading to the decision not to stop for regrouping. This maneuver prevented the CIS from seizing the initiative, but the Republic required assistance which was supposed to be provided by Stas Ali with Marshal Commander Neo. However, their forces were redirected to Saleucami, which had recently been captured by Republic troops under the command of Jedi generals Quinlan Vos and Oppo Rancisis. It is worth mentioning that throughout the campaign the Republic lacked supplies and medical provisions, causing severe suffering among the clones, and the deprivation of reinforcements at a rather critical moment could have halted the offensive. It was decided to postpone the search for Shu Mai and focus on rescuing two imprisoned Jedi, Barriss Offee and her Padawan Zonda, who could lead separate units and allow the Republic to fight in a coordinated manner with 3 strike groups. Since communications were terrible, the Jedi began conversing using the Force, which was a rather interesting decision. Unfortunately, this delay allowed Shu Mai to escape, which on one hand hinted that the Separatists would surrender the planet, but on the other hand, the Gossam left a small surprise that could destroy the entire clone army on the planet. The guild leader decided to use the planet's regional system to release chemicals. By a miracle and the courage of the fighters, the Republic managed to prevent the catastrophe. At this stage, the fate of Felucia was sealed. Despite significant losses, the 327th Star Corps managed to penetrate deep into the Separatist defenses. The droid army was retreating to reinforce, which the Republic forces understood as well. It was decided not to stop and to keep pushing forward to prevent the Separatists from regrouping, a task the fighters successfully accomplished. This decision did not bring a substantial advantage as the clone army was exhausted. After the briefing, when Bly and other officers had not yet dispersed to their positions, the commander received a holocall from Coruscant with Order 66. The Battle of Felucia was won. Shu Mai had fled to Mustafar, where she awaited execution along with other Separatist leaders at the hands of Darth Vader. The droid army had been deactivated before the battle began, and the clones raised the Republic flag over the last Separatist stronghold. Ormo Hin was executed for refusing to comply with the new order, and the Commerce Guild was obliterated. Here are 2 theories worth mentioning. The first theory suggests that Bly deliberately, without hesitation, riddled the general with shots because he did not want her to suffer. The second theory is completely opposite and posits that the betrayal of the Jedi so enraged Bly and the officers that they deliberately aimed at her stomach, trying not to kill her instantly, but to inflict maximum pain and suffering. The siege of Saleucami is considered the shortest compared to Mygeeto and Felucia. Do not delude yourself into thinking that the siege of this planet was relatively easier than the others. It was a 5-month meat grinder in which not just 1 legion and not just a dozen Jedi were ground down, but the planet acquired rings due to the shattered remnants of the Republic and Separatist fleets. In this battle, once again, neither side was willing to yield to the opponent and decided to stand to the death, leading to yet another protracted and bloody massacre. After Palpatine outlined the primary objectives in the Outer Rim, the Republic fleet moved towards Saleucami. The CIS deployed their immense fleet to meet them, making it clear that they were not willing to concede the planet. The reason for their stubbornness was simple. The Confederacy had a secret hidden on the planet that they could not allow to escape. In early 19 BBY, shortly after the siege in the Outer Rim began, starting from Bos Piti, the forward post of the CIS for the invasion of the core worlds, the Republic commenced tracking the remaining commanders of Count Dooku. Jedi Master Thome, one of the Order's finest covert agents, was tasked with tracking down Bulk. Thome, along with Aayla Secura, first traced him to Anzat, where it turned out Bulk regularly held some meetings. On Anzat, a people known for their hired assassins were being extensively hired by Bulk as instructors for some special missions. The trail led to Saleucami and the bases of the Techno-Union. There, in the vast magma caves beneath the planet's capital, he learned the truth. The Confederacy had constructed a massive fortress deep within the planet, where they were growing their own clone army. But these were no ordinary clones. They were cloned from someone named Bok, the last of a secret society of warriors known as the Morokai. The Morokai were among the galaxy's finest warriors and renowned Jedi killers. Fortunately for the Jedi, the days of the Morgukai's glory had ended long before the Clone Wars began. Bok and his father were the last of their kind until Quinlan Vos and Aayla Secura killed Bok's father during a mission many years ago. Now, thanks to the Techno-Union, Bok had millions of clones to train in the Morgukai arts, and he was determined to exact revenge. These clones underwent additional training with the Anzati Master Assassins, and to fight Jedi on equal terms, they were equipped with weapons resistant to lightsaber strikes. Sora Bulk and his associate, the Dark Acolyte Tol Skor, personally oversaw the project, ensuring that the Morgukai Shadow Army was as effective as possible. After discovering all this, Tolm attempted to leave the planet, but he was captured and imprisoned in the Shadow Army's fortress. Nevertheless, he managed to send a message to Aayla Secura, informing her of what was happening on Saleucami. Secura notified the Republic High Command, which responded with one of the largest clone trooper assaults in the war. Under the command of Supreme Jedi General Oppo Rancisis, a member of the Council and one of the Order's finest tacticians, 3 elite corps of clone soldiers were deployed to the planet. One of these was the 91st Reconnaissance Corps, under the command of Marshal Commander Neo, who was the right hand of Oppo. Under their command were units of Galactic Marines in white armor, the Lightning Squadron, and the 7th Sky Corps. Additionally, during certain stages of the siege of Saleucami, fighters from the 327th Star Corps also participated. The 91st Reconnaissance Corps was considered one of the 3 most cold-blooded units of the Republic, alongside the 21st Nova Corps and the 327th Star Corps. The soldiers of this unit wore lightweight armor, which increased their mobility and preferred lighter vehicles in contrast to heavy and cumbersome walkers. ATTs were still present in the battle, but their numbers were noticeably reduced. Primarily, the troops moved around on bark speeders and juggernauts. Due to the massive number of fleets on both sides and constant reinforcements, battles raged above the heads of the fighting armies throughout the initial period. Despite the space battles and poor supply lines, elite corps managed to encircle the planet's capital and the fortress buried beneath it. The objectives were primarily achieved thanks to a form of blitzkrieg tactics which took the droid army by surprise, and the Jedi battle meditation of Oppo Rancisis. Neo focused on small mobile groups that infiltrated enemy lines, cutting off supplies to the enemy's frontline units, ensuring rapid advancement across the planet, while the units of the 327th and 21st Star Corps with heavy equipment finished off the encircled droid units. The Separatists had a lot of large and cumbersome equipment, which often didn't even enter the battle before becoming a trophy for the Republic. It is worth noting that things did not go smoothly for the clones either. The Republic rapidly captured territory, but most of it consisted of useless villages or desolate mountainous or forested areas that simply needed to be traversed. The main production centers were primarily concentrated in the capital and were heavily fortified during the Republic's advance. After encircling the capital, the Republic quickly established orbital superiority over Saleucami. The fleet of star destroyers under Captain Segoro Autumn was able to blockade the planet, but due to the planet's terrain and the location of most factories underground, This support did not provide a significant advantage. The Confederacy's citadel was protected by a powerful energy shield and equipped with turbo-laser cannons capable of destroying large ships in orbit. On the ground, the situation was not much better. The perimeter was heavily fortified and the Republic had few chances of breaking through. With the support of ATTE and ATAP armored walkers, A6 juggernauts, a vast array of ATRT and ATPT and squadrons of starfighters, the Republic deployed almost its entire army around the capital. Accompanying them was a significant team of General Jedi. Quinlan Vos, Ausaroset, Sian Jaizel, Sharad Het, Zeltek, Durnar to Bolton fought on the ground, while Ayla Secura and Shiana Mersu led the fighter squadrons. Oppa Rancisis orchestrated all of them using Jedi battle meditation. Although the Republic did not have a fleet advantage due to the turbo-laser cannons, it had a significant advantage in manpower, equipment, and experienced generals. Despite this, each attack by the clone army was unsuccessful. What was the problem? The issue was that throughout the advance of the Republic army, it encountered only droids, while the capital was defended not only by droids but also by the Morokai army, with whom the clones had no battle experience. As a reminder, this shadow army was trained to confront not just ordinary soldiers but Force users. Even elite clone fighters were seriously inferior to the Morokai, nullifying the numerical advantage. Jedi generals Zeltek, Durnar to Bolton and Auset, along with their entire units, were killed by Morokai clones in the early battles. While the Republic licked its wounds and regrouped, the Shadow Army launched a counterattack. Only due to the primal fury of the clones were they able to hold off the attack. After the initial clashes, attacks happened daily. First the Republic would attack, then the Separatists. This meat grinder lasted for over 4 months. You might ask, why did the Separatists constantly counterattack? Why not just hole up in the capital and fend off all Republic attacks? The issue was that the Shadow Army needed to disperse throughout the galaxy to eliminate the Jedi and gain absolute advantage in the war for the Separatists. Constant attacks and the presence of the Republic fleet nearby prevented the Morokai armies from leaving the planet. They couldn't leave from the capital because it would require disabling the shields, which would instantly turn the capital into a huge pile of ash. Unlimited geothermal energy, systematic water supplies, and stocked warehouses allowed the Separatists to not worry about the finiteness of their manpower. But new fighters were much worse, and due to constant battles, their numbers in the ranks of the harsh army increased, angering Count Dooku. The Republic's army was also almost depleted due to daily battles and the need to control the vast occupied territory behind them, filled with scattered remnants of droids and hungry refugees. This forced the Oppo to conduct daily suicidal attacks, hoping to break through the defense somewhere and stop the clone production. What do we see as a result? Both sides needed to break through the enemy's defense as quickly as possible, which would win the campaign for the siege of Saleucami. While battles were taking place at the capital's walls, General Jedi Thome, who was stuck in the capital, managed to free himself from captivity. Due to the inability to escape the fortress, he sabotaged the Shadow Army's production whenever he could. Sora Bulk, Bok, and the Master Anzati Rath Kelko were furious at their subordinates' inability to capture or kill Thome. This allowed the Republic to gradually break through the enemy's defenses. Additionally, as the siege continued, the Republic began to fortify its positions thanks to Oppo Rancisis and his battle meditation. After 5 months, they finally managed to secure the perimeter, leaving only the main fortress of the Morokai in their path. However, the Separatist leaders believed they had ways to handle both problems. At that time, the clone warrior Quinlan Vos was still maintaining ties with the Dark Acolytes. Tol Skor contacted him through Colin Hanks, his agent and lover, and relayed the order to meet with Bulk at the Shadow Army's command center, to which Vos agreed. In truth, Vos was neither on the side of the Acolytes nor the Jedi. He intended to kill the second Sith, whom he believed to be none other than Sora Bulk. He continued to work with the Dark Acolytes, hoping it would allow him to get close enough to Bulk to kill him. Bulk sent Vos to track down Thome, his old master, while he himself went with the Anzat to repel the clones' assault. Both missions seemed successful for the Separatists. Vos defeated his former teacher in a duel in the magma caves, throwing him into the lava, while the Anzat were able to distract Rancisis enough for Bulk to kill the Jedi Master from behind. When Vos returned to the Jedi, Bulk returned to camp confident that the Republic's attack was now doomed. Vos returned shortly after the other Jedi discovered Master Rancisis's body. The battle seemed lost, but Vos gave the Jedi a glimmer of hope. He used his natural psychometric abilities to read Rancisis's last thoughts, which gave him insight into what the old Jedi Master had planned for the remainder of the battle. He claimed that Rancisis had planned for the Republic forces to launch a full-scale assault on the planetary cannons, while a small team infiltrated the base to disable the shield generator. Once both targets were neutralized, the Republic fleet could destroy the Shadow Army from orbit. Having no other options, the Republic executed this plan the next day. Without Rancisis's battle meditation to guide them, the attack was almost suicidal, but they still charged down, throwing all their forces into one final push. Meanwhile, Vos and Sakura slipped into the Separatist base. While his former Padawan set bombs on the base's geothermal generators, Vos returned to the Separatist command center where he informed Bulk of the Republic's plans and disclosed Sakura's location. Bulk immediately sent Bok and his best warriors to deal with Sakura, and the vengeful Nikto readily complied. Vos hoped that this would be enough to earn Bulk's trust, but it turned out that the Dark Acolyte had one last trial for him. He ordered Score to bring Colleen Hentz, who had been captured during the previous battle, and commanded Vos to kill her, but Vos refused. He did not want to sacrifice Hentz for his mission, and instead, he abandoned everything to save her, declaring himself a Jedi. At that moment, Jedi General Thome, whom Vos had previously cast into the lava, appeared out of nowhere and joined the battle against Bulk and Score on Vos's side. While the center of the Separatist command was engulfed in combat, Bok hunted for Ayla Sakura. But thanks to Quinlan Vos's deception, Sakura successfully planted the bombs on a different level. Sensing that the time had come, she detonated the generator, causing the entire base to be flooded with lava. The energy shield deactivated, and the Republic forces surged into the heart of the capital. Jedi General Saci Teen sacrificed himself by ramming the turbo lasers with his damaged starfighter, allowing Captain Orton and his cruisers to take positions and turn the base to ashes. Vos killed Score, while Sakura hurled Bok into the energy barrier of the command center, killing him as well. Bulk was also defeated, and the Jedi escaped the crumbling command center as Captain Orton began his orbital bombardment. The Shadow Army of Morokai was destroyed. The Republic emerged victorious from the ambush of Saleucami. The threat from the Shadow Army was vanquished, as was the last of Count Dooku's Dark Acolytes. However, it came at a great cost. Some of the Order's finest Jedi fell in the battle, along with countless clones. After the deaths of Oppo Rancisis and other high-ranking Jedi, and with some being sent to the hospital while others were redeployed, General Jedi Stas Ali was appointed to finalize the campaign on Saleucami, along with the 91st Corps, which had to cleanse the planet of droids as swiftly as possible. Due to the rapid advances of the Republic in the early days of the war, a vast number of Separatist troops remained in the rear, setting ambushes for patrols and returning convoys with wounded soldiers. Due to a shortage of soldiers and the urgency of the situation, there was no one to collect the bodies. So during patrols, clones often passed over mountains of decaying bodies of their brothers, slowly being eaten by local scavengers. During one such patrol, Marshal Commander Neo received Order 66, and together with his deputy, Clone Trooper CT-3423, they slowed their bark speeders, approached Ali from behind, and with his comrade opened fire on the Jedi. The siege of Saleucami, as well as the Clone Wars, officially ended. Such was the tale of the siege of Saleucami, one of the most grueling battles of the Clone Wars.